included in the packet, so they are being recommended as the low bidder. In addition to the base bid of $744,480, there's also a recommendation by the engineers to include cleaning of the wet well with contractor Safeway, who's currently doing other work in the township at a cost of $30,000, and then an additional scope of work to the tune of $85,000 for the replacement of the main sluice gate at the plant, being that the wet well is going to be pumped down and shut down during this project. It's an opportune time to replace that sluice gate that is currently, from all indications, non-operable. So it's a good time to do that work and lends itself to some efficiencies, being we're going to have a contractor in the area that sluice gate at that point in time. So I know, Phil, you had mentioned that you had some questions about the numbers lining up and where the numbers are coming from. I'd be more than happy to answer any concerns or questions you might have relative to that.
Yeah, Derek, I was just looking over the costing of this and trying to go from the $744,480 to the $1,008,376, and then step that up by $161,340 to come up with the $1,169,716. And I went back to the original proposal that was in the proposal for the $6 million bond issue and looked at the 20% contingency cost and the 19% engineering cost. I applied those to it, and then I added the $85,000 and the $30,000, and I come up $20,000 short. I just can't get these numbers to jive. I can't come up with the $1,169,716 by applying. I guess where I'm confused is what composes the $1,008,376 number, and then the $161,340 is other engineering and contingency cost or what have you. I'm really just trying to get the numbers to add up, trying to balance the checkbook, so to speak.
So engineering is generally based upon a percentage of the total project cost. So when you take a look at, let's do 744,480 plus the estimated 85,000 plus the 30,000, and then you're going to do 20% contingency on the 744,480. So you're adding 148,896. That gives you a total of $1,008,376. And then when you add the contract administration of 19%, 161,340, you end up with the 1,169,716.
Okay, so we're putting 20% contingency on the 85,000 and the 30,000.
No, just on the seven.
No, yeah, just on the
774.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the 774 plus 148,896, which is that 20% of that.
Correct.
And then
your 30.
Then add in the 30, add in the 85.
And
then take 19% of that whole amount.
No.
If 19% of that whole amount is 161,340, then yes.
Okay, so that's how the numbers come out. I guess where I am with this is how much engineering is left to be done on this?
No, it's paying them back for what's been done.
That's already been done then.
Yeah,
but some of the work has been done.
Covering those costs. Well, primarily, most of the engineering.
That's what I was going to say.
Been done already.
This is
not future. The only future is inspection and contract administration.
Okay.
But we've taken a year and a half to go back and forth.
This has been going on and on and on. And I mean, the specs all have the floor being torn up.
This is
and this being
covering
done.
those costs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
We've
cost
been pulling out of the fund balance of the wastewater plant.
Okay. All right.
And it's been a high-end engineering, time-consuming project. If you recall, there have been a couple of scenarios that were rejected by MDEQ and in the permitting
I
process.
remember that, and that's what
Yeah.
I was just wanting to make sure this wasn't going to be on top of paying all that back and everything else.
No.
Okay.
No, and the 85,000 is my understanding, after it was bid, through the bid process, the sluice gate is totally rusted up and
Corroded.
won't open, right?
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Ryan's the one in the plant, I'm not, even Les isn't. So how often has the sluice gate been used as best you know? Or based historically on what you know historically?
Historically, it hasn't been probably 40 years. Not my knowledge.
Okay, so it hasn't been used in 40 years.
No. So,
So John, I'll just answer the question too. I asked the question, why would you close it? And there's two reasons. One, the primary one is if we get a spill in our system, like some kind of gasoline spill, right?
Yep.
Or some kind of toxic contamination, we don't want to allow it to mix in with the other sewage. So we would shut it down in the what's the name of the big tank? The equalization tank. And we
Yes.
would treat it there to take whatever contaminants are away. That's one reason. And the other reason is when you're working in the wet well, you want to be able to shut the water off temporarily. Did I
understand.
say that right?
yes, you did. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that we've never used it. That's the thing, it's 85,000. We've never used it ever.
Well,
I don't
I
know.
don't know if they ever used it. He's only been here
Well,
3 years, but
I asked
I
the
think-
question historically.
I think that the sluice gate was engineered as part of the plant for a purpose. The fact that it may have not been operated in quite some time isn't necessarily because it wasn't necessary or needed to be operable. It was because it hasn't operated. So if you take a look at the condition of it, there's no way that thing has been operated in 20 years because there's no way it would have operated in 20 years.
Okay,
So
is that part of the MDEQ requirements? Or is Ohio's 19% part of that 85,000? 10% would be, $8,500. 20%
I'm not
would be
sure that
$17,000 in engineering fees.
we have another sluice gate, which is right before the water leaves the plant, which works. So if we had a spill of something in the system, we could actually wait until it all flowed into the plant and then shut that sluice gate, which would it would keep it all within the plant though. So if we
the
had a
issue-
spill, we could isolate it.
The issue with that, though, is the damage that's caused by the
Within the plant.
contaminant within the
And
plant.
it would wreck our RBCs and
Right.
our whole secondary.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
the sluice gate
yeah.
for the things coming in is important. The fact, yes, we haven't, evidently, as far as
Yep.
we know, it hasn't been used.
But it's there for a reason.
It's there for a reason, and it's going to cost a heck of a lot more than 85,000. Should we get something that we have to do that?
Yep.
And in
That's
this-
kinda- I don't disagree with it, but
Yeah.
it's speculation, that's all. We just don't
Well,
know. We
well,
haven't used it in 12
No, we haven't. But and thank goodness that we haven't.
A good example
Yeah.
is it would be used in this situation
Yeah.
if it was operable. The contractor that's doing the work in the plant is going to have to employ different methods in order to eliminate the flow to be able to work in the wet well where the sluice gate would have helped out with that. So that's a good example right now of the preventative maintenance or maintenance that we'd be doing now and into the future that the sluice gate would assist with allowing us to do.
Right.
So.
So, I mean, there's certainly more cost involved that he's got to rig something up where we could have just closed that off.
Yep, exactly. And then if in the future, if we got a sluice gate there, we'd make sure that we'd operate it, every month so that this would not happen in the future. It would operate.
Now, what type of a valve is it? You say it's a sluice gate. Is it a gate valve? Or is it a knife valve?
Steve, do you want?
This is really easy to help you guys out with a decision here because I travel around the country and I work on these style of gates, these Rodney Hunt sluice gates. They're large cast iron castings. What Rodney Hunt does to make them so that they operate for a lifetime well beyond our lifetime, 40 years is nothing, okay, is all of the mating faces are bronze that are embedded into this giant cast iron gate. Just a flat plate. It looks like a waffle iron for strength to reinforce it. That's the backside that you see. And it's covered with all kinds of shit. You'd think it would never, ever move again. But around its frame that's molded into the wall or thimbled into the wall, you have stainless steel bolts and bronze faces that are wedges. And this gate, as soon as it moves 1/8 of an inch, it's away from the face that it mates to. And it should move up and down freely.
It's a wedge like this.
All it does is it slides in its last 1/8 of an inch. It pushes more laterally to close than it does vertically. Okay? It's a beautiful design. It's around everywhere in the United States for water, wastewater, stormwater, and I've dealt with them up to 84 inches in diameter. I was just out in Nassau County and got one free. And
We had that type of valve in our system where there's two pieces with two round holes, and they hang on these bolts like this.
Yep.
Inside that gate valve. And when that gate valve goes down, it's a wedge and it pushes against it.
Right.
And the problems that I ran into and some of the valves we had to change, that flapper rusted off.
Right. Well, this is
Open the valve up, and you might open one side, but the other one stays closed.
This is totally different than that. This is all of the work is being done from a side that's accessible, and it's meant to be adjusted. You can open and close the gate several times. Sometimes it won't seal 100% at the top or 100% at the bottom. And the wedges that float in its final adjustment because of debris or just because of the way it was pushed down, it won't seal. But motion and using it will eventually seal it. A gate like this, what I would recommend, and Ryan will agree with me on this, is that get a specialist from Rodney Hunt out here to inspect that gate, and he's going to tell you to put a new actuator and stem on it and keep the existing gate and save yourself way more than $85,000.
Now, just explain that again, because I don't work directly in that area. I've done a lot of different types of
Imagine a
activity.
concrete wall with a pipe coming in.
Okay.
The fixture that's made by Rodney Hunt exists outside that concrete wall and in the wet well.
Okay.
And it's a vertical gate that has a frame that's molded into the wall. It was built in the construction of the plant, meaning that they put a thimble in the wall with all the necessary hardware to attach this frame. That frame is stationary. The gate moves up and down and mates to that frame and seals off the pipe. And what works on it to make it seal is on that frame in 8 places, 4 on each side, 4 on the bottom, and 4 on the top, are what we call hooks or dogs, and they're adjustable. Each one is individual. One can be tightened, over-tightened more than another if you adjust it improperly. When they install it, they lower the gate down in place without any water. They tighten it, and they feel with shims to make sure that the gate is almost sealed everywhere. Then another 1/8 of an inch down, it seals itself. It pushes itself or horizontally rather than vertically. Now do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
All of that's accessible inside the wet well. It's all there. The reason it's not operating is because the nut and the stem and that hardware is gunked up and frozen. How I can say this is I was the one 15 years ago that got the one on the effluent end of the plant free in 4 days' worth of work because I had to seal off the chlorine contact chamber to put in the new hardware in a chlorine contact chamber.
And Rodney Hunt is the manufacturer?
Rodney Hunt is the manufacturer.
Who would be able to advise in that regard?
Yes, yes.
And where are they out of? What
They're actually out of Massachusetts. But we have Rodney Hunt representative would be the same people that we're getting the you're purchasing a bar screen from.
Mr. Chairman.
Boyce Cooper.
One question and one comment. The question is this thing essential to have it operational? I mean, it would be your recommendation to have it operational?
From a wastewater standpoint, having ability to isolate your influent is necessary for any major catastrophe that you have in the plant.
It was good practice to have it operational?
Yep.
Okay. And then one comment. I believe that the way that the motion is written and in Raines' recommendation, they say We strongly recommend having PPEI repair or replace it during the flow isolation needed for the bar screen installation project. And this is an anticipated cost, not an actual cost.
Okay?
So,
It's a repair is what I would recommend myself.
right, and I think once they get down there and they start working on the bar screen, they get the wet well clean, they see what they got, and then they can figure out whether or not it's a repairable issue or if it's a replacement issue. Right. Okay.
Anybody wants to see pictures of it, I can show you pictures on my phone of what I'm talking about and all these small fixture pieces on a large gate. And they're all sealable. They're meant to be left inactive for years and years and years and then brought into service.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it very much.
Is your employee the valve company or Suez?
I'm employed by Suez, and I'm a maintenance specialist in our mechanical services group, which we're contractors for all of our projects throughout the United States and Canada.
Don't go away. We probably have some more questions for you.
Thank you for that. That was
Good
very
information.
informative. And are you Kelly? Are you Kelly or Steve?
Steve.
Steve. Thank you, Steve. All right. So I guess, Phil, your questions have been answered on the finance?
Well, I'm still.
Well, I added them up, and they added up to the 1,169,000.
They do. I'm just. I guess my only question that remains is the $161,340,000. What's that number?
That's
Currently?
for all the past engineering and inspection that's going to occur in the future.
I can get the DPS
Okay.
commission the current number paid so far to Rains for this project.
Okay.
And then it'll be the balance will be whatever's less what payments have already been made. So
I mean, that's a percentage of that 1,008,000, and it's about 16%. So that's
But
where that number should be.
It's a percentage, yeah, he's right, yeah, okay.
It's 16%,
Right.
which and
The way the percentages work from our engineers, they give you a percentage for a project, and they bill against that. We may not, very, very seldom do we ever exceed that amount.
right.
So they'll bill their hourly rates up to that amount. That's the way that normally works.
I was just trying to get where it said in the other proposal. It talked about 20% and 19%, and we're over on this page and we're at
I wouldn't worry
some
about
number
the-
of 16%.
He was
Right.
just trying to say that it's all inclusive, those cost
Right.
estimates for the
Right.
bond.
Right.
That they're all inclusive. We're not going to come back and to say, oh, we forgot to add engineering or contract administration costs.
Okay.
That's all that was trying to do.
I guess we're looking at that whole page. So the proposed motion doesn't have as much information as the letter that's dated August 7th, 2019. And just looking at this is, and Charlie Rains and the gentleman that work for him now or own that company now, they've been around for a long time because Charlie Rains was involved in that plant for years and years and years. And he had a lot of faith in the operations and certainly was helpful in that regard. To that end, when I look at the numbers, the base bid, just the base bid, because at 20%, you might not have much, or you might have 20%, or you might have more. So if I look at the two bids, we got 744 and 778. So the difference in those two bids is $33,600. And as a percentage, that amount is about 0.0435% as an amount of the overall expense. Now, the reason why I'm concerned about this aspect of it is, I'll just call it the Flint water crisis dilemma, which always is in every single engineering situation. And by that I mean, when Flint got into their water stuff, they didn't realize how to operate their treatment facility, and they didn't add the right chemicals, and it caused a huge problem. It seems to me, when we're talking about just water mains generally, Les Schmicky knows an awful lot. We're very fortunate to have him here. And Suez and their predecessors, obviously this gentleman here has a heck of a lot of experience in the plant. And so it appears to me that the hands-on experience that has been going on, to my knowledge, Joe Keefe, is 1986 or maybe before that. So with those gentlemen having that knowledge for a long period of time, and I was on a township board when they had to take the roof off for repairs. That was a product situation. When the augers were defective and were replaced, that was a huge engineering process, and you're familiar with it, apparently. So it would seem to me, with hands-on guys operating the plant, and Ryan has, in effect, kind of, he has his comments tempered for purposes of construction by the fact that he works and operates the treatment plant. But it looks to me like the difference of $33,000 on what's over $1 million contract, which is what it's going to be, doesn't necessarily have to go to the low bidder in this case, who is not hands-on every day at this plant. And the low bidder, I'm certain, hasn't been involved in the plant as much as the Suez employees have, like this gentleman here. So I am of the belief that we should not take the low bid in this case because it's a minuscule amount, $33,000. But I am of the belief we should take the bid from Suez because they're hands-on, they're here day to day, and they've known this plant. There's a couple of more things. Should Suez perform the construction, and we're talking about $1 million contract, if they perform the construction and there's a glitch, they forgot the widget, okay? Let's suppose that happened. I got to keep it simple so I can stay on track. So if they forgot the widget, Ryan calls them and goes, you guys put this plant together, but you forgot the widget. They'll come back and fix it. We've got a hands-on day-to-day situation. For 10 years after the construction is done, not the fix, after the construction is done, there is a window of opportunity for the township through Ryan to spot a problem with this construction without any need to go to a litigation format. Now, the way the law is in Michigan, and I've been in the appellate courts on this, latent or patent, that means obvious or hidden defects, are not correctable or challengeable after 10 years. These fellas operating the plant, even on a hidden defect that no one knew about, Ryan didn't know about it for 5 years, and say the statute of limitations for whatever reason has run, those gentlemen can coordinate and fix the widget that was forgotten, that was a hidden widget. And that's why I really think when you're dealing with $1 million plus contract, I really think that we should not go with the low bidder. We should go with a bid that's $33,000 more, having the longevity of both past experience and future experience in this particular contract scenario. So the handcuffs on a low bid, I think, are ridiculous in this case, and I'm not interested in that at all. I think the second bid with the $33,000 increase is well in line with what we need to do on $1 million project. So figure out what the percentage is on $1 million. It's nothing. And I hope somebody else thinks the same way, maybe even 4 people.
I would say, John, that there are no handcuffs. There are no handcuffs with the lowest bid. We don't have to take the lowest bid. I believe it's something the engineer has to do for certain reasons in putting it forth to us. But we're not we're not tied into having to do that. So and you
Then
make good
I would
points.
make a motion.
You
that
make
the-
good points.
I'd make a motion the bid go to Suez.
Well,
And the amounts as stated.
Before we
subject
do a motion, let's make sure everybody else has had a chance to talk.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is no home run deal by anybody. But I want to do the best job for the taxpayers. And if there's $1 million investment plus, I want to make sure that we're not driven into a dead end for $33,000. That's what I'm talking about. That's it.
Chairman.
And I'd like to hear from everybody, from the guys on the commission here.
Derek, you wanted to speak?
Just a couple of points. Relative to the operation of Suez of that plant 10 years from now, there is no guarantee that that will be taking place.
Undoubtedly.
Right. So that's a good point, but let's just keep in mind their contract is up next fall or next spring. So there's no guarantee it's going to occur, past next spring.
But I'm talking about the past experience. That's going to be important when you install equipment.
Sure.
And that can't be replaced by any other bidder.
Another point is when I see bids like this, it excites me. When the bids are that tight, that means that the bid specs were tight because they were bidding the same thing. Their understanding was identical almost in this case to what was required of the job. So that's encouraging when you see those prices that tight. The other one was this is an item, a product that's being supplied by a separate vendor. So this isn't a job where they're supplying all the materials and they're supplying all the labor. They're purchasing a product and they're installing that product. So it's a little bit different, I think, than other jobs like a water main project or something like that. And then part of Rains's recommendation was to check the references of the company that was low bidder. My understanding is that they've done this job in other plants in this area, Trenton being one of them, so their references were solid relative to the work that they performed of this type for other plants in the area. So I wanted the DPS Commission to be aware of those items.
That was never an issue. That's standard operating procedure, without a doubt. If they weren't, then so how would have told us? So that's a given. So everybody that's on the bid is a given in that regards.
One other thing, there was a pre-award conference that we had in which schedules are discussed. That pre-award conference has not been had with Suez, so I'm unaware and not comfortable stating whether Suez would be able to meet the schedule that the vendor that's being recommended by Rains is going to be able to keep. This contract and this work needs to be done more than likely in January when the flows of the plant are low. Process Piping has indicated that they can meet that time frame and that deadline. That's not to say that Suez cannot, but we haven't had that conversation with them.
I suspect that could be done. If they say they can't do it, then that's the answer. But I'd like to hear from the other people
let's hear
on the
from
commission, really.
Let's start it with you, Jim.
What do you think, Jim?
Well, John makes good points. I certainly don't disagree with that. But the company that our engineer has recommended to us is a solid company also. And as Derek points out, we're talking about putting in a piece of equipment. We're not talking about running the treatment plant or anything like that. We're talking about just putting in that. It would be interesting based on what Steve said, because it's not just fixing that gate. It was the other additional work included cleaning the well and repairing the gate. So it sounds like it could be less than what we have before us, based on what you've told.
And that's just the budget, the 85,000.
Right. It could be. It could end up being anything.
Why don't we ask this
But-
gentleman about
Hey,
what
let's-
Suez could help us out with?
Well,
Let's just go around the table with this
Yeah.
issue. The bid
The
issue.
only thing is, what I don't want to do is, I don't want to have this guy come last and then somebody might change a thought process because they haven't heard,
Well,
have not heard from this guy.
but-
That's the thing.
Let's stick with the
Yeah,
bid issue
yeah.
first. Then we'll come back and we'll give everybody an ample chance before we.
It's
entertain a
real
motion.
important, it's $1 million.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, and I can think of several times when the township has spent $1 million.
No,
hasn't
that's
been a wise
all I
decision.
had.
do, I got something.
Lenny, go ahead.
No, and I do appreciate all points, but I don't think today is the day to make the decision one way or the other. We've not had a final review. I'm unaware of the manpower requirements and the overall timing. I don't know if it's a 2-person job or a 20-person job, and then where do those human resources come from? I know that based on the recommendation, that the local company who's also on this bid has got local resources. I'm unaware of, I know Suez has got a very large national footprint. I'm unaware of those resources and what their timetable is to get 2 or 20 people here for a day or for a month. I'd like to see those details before we make a decision.
Which would go back to the pre-construction meeting or pre-award meeting.
And I do appreciate
You
how,
guys would be invited to. I assume.
absolutely. And I do appreciate the bids being so close because Derek, you're absolutely right. The specifications and requirements for this were very tight and very easy to quote. Now let's see what it really means when it comes down to a human resource count and a timetable count.
Are you suggesting that we not make a decision tonight?
I can't make a decision today.
So I'll go right down the aisle and I'm going to speak up. John, I think you make some good points. I need to report, Derek, what happened this morning. At 9 o'clock this morning, we met with the regional manager, or the area manager, and Ryan, and began discussions about our contract renewal. Not that we want to go out and bid our Suez contract, but the contract's up April 1st or March 31st. Requires 90 days notice to give the firm if we're going to change companies or go out for bids. We need to, if we're going to go out for bids, we need to really, that's why we wanted to meet this early. I mean, here it is, August, and we scheduled a second meeting for September 5th. We received the beginning of a proposal from Mike Bovin with Suez for us to chew on. The conflict I see is that, let's say we can't come to terms and we want to go out for bids. Then what you're saying, Suez is here today during the construction of this bar screen project. I see the only complication is if we were to award, I mean, I don't know if this is going to happen. I'm just saying it's an issue that's out there. If we decided to go out for bids and bring another firm in, and there's a lot of issues that would speak against that because your performance is good and having the resources like Steve here are excellent, as well as Ryan and others. But we could be in the midst of rebidding this, awarding to another firm when Suez is constructing this project. So one thing I think we need to do is take a little time. That is a conflict, potential conflict. My feeling would be
I want to hear what the conflict.
the conflict is if we were to decide to go out for bid
Okay,
and we awarded some other firm,
okay.
then they're building the project.
What's the conflict? They've already got that contract.
All
There's
right.
no conflict.
I see a potential conflict, John.
Well, there isn't.
And we learned about,
Respectfully disagreeing.
respectfully, I will share with you in private, similar circumstance at a wastewater plant where a change was made and some work was not completed by the firm that didn't receive renewal of a contract.
But
So
that
just-
doesn't involve.
so my
Suez,
point
and it
was-
doesn't involve our plant. It really doesn't.
My point is, we ought to resolve this conflict about the bidding. I mean, I see a potential conflict here. And I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but I think that we need to maybe not act tonight, then table the matter and try to deal with these other issues as well. So that's my thought.
I think what would happen is if Suez should get the contract, then they perform and they complete the contract. And if there's a problem with their performance, that's a separate contractual situation. It's not a conflict. A lot of times, spaghetti gets thrown on the wall, and you're not doing that. But a lot of times, spaghetti gets thrown on the wall, and it really doesn't pertain to anything that's germane to the topic. These guys get a contract, they perform it. Contract specs are supposed to be written and adhere to. And it's just that simple. If they forget the widget, they got to put it in. I don't care who's going to be the operator 10 years from now. But the fact that you were the operator for the last 15 or 20 years does count, because you're not putting in a light switch. You're putting in $1 million worth of equipment. And I've been involved in those $1 million lawsuits in other areas, and equipment doesn't always function the same way. Even though you might buy the materials, the way it's installed is very, very important. And I've had experience in federal court with major construction cases that involved interesting materials treatments, and I've seen it over and over and over again. The operation of the equipment that comes off the shelf from the supplier is very important to the integration of the overall situation. It really is. You can't ignore it.
Okay, Phil?
Well, you know, I was, before coming in here, I looked over the bids and looked at the difference in the bids. And even though the end number is really close, the item numbers are all over the place. So, I mean, we've come up with a real close end number, but if we go down through the item numbers, it's one's double of Suez is double of what they are, they're double of what Suez is, and it goes that way all the way through all the item numbers. So I don't know whether I could say the bids are real close, because the end number's close. I guess my question is, has the other company installed this exact same piece of equipment, and has Suez installed this exact same piece of equipment? And what is not so much their experience just as a general contractor, but do both companies have the same experience with this particular piece of equipment, or does one outshine the other in what their experience is with installing these screens? Do you know, Derek?
I can tell you that the references were checked for the low bidder. I don't know that the references were checked for Suez. They might be stellar and they might have more experience, but I'm not prepared to give you that answer, because I don't know that Rain's checked the second bidder's qualifications or their references, or how many times they've installed this type of product versus the piping company that's listed on here, PPEI.
Because I know when we were talking about this, the whole system had to be very customized to our particular installation. It wasn't, we couldn't just take what we were shown initially from Ryan and oh, that won't fit. We have to narrow this or widen that or steepen this.
The application of the product is a bit different in this plant than it is in others because of the space restrictions. So there is some difference between our plant compared to others that this product has been installed. The product has been customized slightly to be able to accommodate the restrictions that we have there. I think it's worth noting, and I don't want to ever pressure a commission or a committee to make a decision, but I will tell you that we're working under an accelerated schedule here, because shop drawings have to be formulated, the product has to be built, and we have to do the installation in the wintertime. So the schedule that's been established for the approval, with a recommendation coming from this board going to the township board on the 9th, is purposeful. There's a reason behind that schedule, so we can meet the timeframes of installation in January. So when you take a look at approvals, or potentially taking a look at another vendor, going back and reviewing whether their references check out and whether they've done this work before, if we decide to go back and do that, we need to make sure that we're still ready to go forward on the 9th of September.
Well, let me add to that. I mean, the next proposal after this is a schedule of a special meeting. So it would seem to me we have another shot at this and still make the 9th if we wanted to just get some more questions answered.
Right.
And maybe tonight, when you get a chance to speak after you hear everybody, Steve or Kelly, you can address that timing issue too, because I don't know, the plan was January, but February is pretty dry too, usually. We'll see. Maybe you can address that issue. Phil?
I mean, if we weren't going to be going to the board until the 9th of September.
You're right, we have time.
Yeah, we would still have time.
Or another month even.
Yeah, Phil,
If you're looking at January, February build time.
I will tell you, the engineers have told me January, so I have not discussed February
Okay.
with them. They've told me January,
Sure.
so.
So, do you have any other questions?
No,
Les?
that's it.
Well, I feel the same way as John and Phil about looking at this thing. And Suez has been there for many, many years. And even if this is a change in what, April? It's highly
Operators, yeah.
it's highly unlikely that there is going to be a change. Because how many years have these people been doing this for our plant?
And it all is going to depend on if we can work out a reasonable adjustment.
And Jim Budney, I think, was the one that negotiated one of the transfers of a new contract.
The last
That
contract
worked
is the
out
one.
pretty good for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I negotiate the last
It's an
contract.
understatement. It worked
yeah.
out very good for everybody.
Got a good memory there. All right, so Les, anything else? Go around the table to Ted.
Excuse me. I'm really not in a position to second guess the engineer, and I'm also not in a position to second guess Derek and his recommendations. I think the bid process we followed was the right bid process. I think the outcome was probably the right outcome. I would acquiesce to both the engineers and Derek for a decision on this. Obviously, the engineer has got a lot at stake here if he's going to make the recommendation. I mean, his reputation in a multi-million-dollar contract that's been going on for as long as I've been around. And we have a pretty adequate supervisor engineer that's reviewed this. And I would just acquiesce to both Derek and the engineering group.
Well, I think in respect to John's point, I don't think the engineers have done the analysis with the second bidder.
I don't know.
They did with the first
I don't
bidder,
know.
so I think we should allow time for that. Jim Nelson, you're trustee. You're at our meeting. I'll just give you the opportunity. You want to say anything, or do you want to pass? It's like the public, you're like the public here.
Being a man of few words, I will have to say that I'm not really up to speed on all these intricate pieces of this puzzle, which is
Okay.
pretty involved. I do enjoy hearing all these things. I'm hearing both sides. I don't think a decision tonight is correct. I think we should talk about it at the next special DPS meeting, and because there's a lot of stones have to be unturned, it sounds like tonight after what I hear tonight.
Okay. Thank
Jim,
you.
you're saying no.
Bill, I just add, because I guess I side with I'd certainly side with Derek and with Ted. We have a process. We have our engineers. Our engineers have looked at this and made a recommendation to us. I think we're starting to mix up the operation of the plant, which Suez has been wonderful at, versus putting in a piece of equipment, which the people that have been recommended to us are able to do. We went through the bid process. They're the ones that are recommended to us. We have a lot of things going between now and the end of August. I don't know that we can get the information even by our special meeting. And I would just have everybody just take a deep breath, step back, and understand that this is not the operation of the plant. This is putting in some equipment, which I believe the people that have been recommended to us know how to do it.
Okay. If there are no further comments from the table, I'll.
Best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today. 100.3 WNIC.
She just wants to be beautiful. She goes unnoticed. She knows no limits. She craves attention. She praises an image. She prays to be sculpted by the sculptor. Oh, she don't see the light that's shining deeper than the eyes can find it. Maybe we're made of blind. tries to cover up her pain and cut her woes away. 'Cause cover girls don't cry after the face is made. But there's a hope that's waiting for you in the dark. You should know you're beautiful just the way you are. And you don't have to change a thing, the world could change its heart. No scars, see you're beautiful. With scars, we're beautiful. And you don't have to change a thing, the world could change its heart. No scars, see you're beautiful. With stars, we're beautiful. She has dreams to be an envy, so she's starving, you know. Cover girls eat nothing, she says. Beauty is pain and there's beauty in everything. What's a little bit of hunger? I can go a little while longer. She fades away, she don't see her perfect, she don't understand she's worth it. All that beauty goes deeper than the surface. Oh, oh. So to all the girls that's hurting, let me be your mirror, help you see a little bit clearer. The light that shines within. There's a hope that's waiting for you in the dark. You should know you're beautiful just the way you are. And you don't have to change a thing, the world could change its heart. No scars, say you're beautiful. With stars, we're beautiful. And you don't have to change a thing, the world could change its heart. No scars, say you're beautiful.
8550 Ferry, Groseal, Michigan, Mr. Tico's past Groseal address. And if you look at Exhibits 9 and 10, you'll see that there's a sheet in there from Laura that has Mr. Jacob Tico's license registration, and then also from Bizpedia Elite One Contractors, which also has his license registration and has the registered agent at 8550 Ferry. What will be the result if the application is denied? Mr. Tico answered great financial loss due to the lot being rendered useless. Again, as stated above, this hardship situation was self-inflicted by Mr. Tico himself. The opposite question should be asked: what will be the result if the application is granted? Not only would it result in the creation of more water and drainage issues for the surrounding homeowners, it would create a precedent that would require the township to grant permission to others wishing to build on non-conforming lots. Zoning and building restrictions are in place to create consistency and protect homeowners and their property. If these restrictions are violated, what's the point of having them? Will the denial cause financial loss? Mr. Tecco has already had financial loss due to the foreclosure of the vacant Meridian lot. Mr. Tecco has created his own loss and hardship. Regarding the vacant Park Lane property, the most recent certificate of forfeiture was recorded on April 11th, 2019. See Exhibit 11. It's in your packet. I am perplexed by how Mr. Tecco will clear the property, add fill to comply with the current floodplain levels, and build a home when he hasn't paid taxes on the property, currently owing more than $3,000. And then Exhibit 12. He did pay $800+ last year. He had a certificate of foreclosure on it. This is the second certificate of foreclosure that he's had on Park Lane. He paid $800 and some odd to get that first one stopped, but this is the second one that they have put on. What was the current ordinance? Was the current ordinance in effect when the property was purchased? Ignorance is never a defense, and being that he was in the business, he should have known about zoning ordinances. Finally, we do not believe that Mr. Tecco has plans to build on the property. If he did, he would not have lost the Meridian parcel, and he would have started to build when he had both, and he would have kept up the tax payments. Mr. Tecco knew that there was a state wetlands easement on Meridian parcel. We informed him of such numerous times. We believe Mr. Tecco purposely let the Meridian lot foreclose, thinking that the Park Lane lot was more valuable. He actually had 2 certificate of forfeitures on the Meridian lot before they foreclosed. We believe that Mr. Tecco is looking for the board to grant permission to build on this non-conforming lot so that he can sell the Park Lane parcel as buildable, thereby allowing the non-conforming use to survive a change in ownership as permitted in Section 285-18-8. And I thank you for your time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So, I guess to sum up your presentation, you're dead set against us accepting the application and approving it.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
Just that you realize we wouldn't, if we passed this and allowed it, it isn't giving him the right to build. You understand that?
I understand that, but I'm...
Well, and obviously, you're against it.
What I understood, Maureen, you were saying if we gave this variance, then he would probably go off and advertise it as selling it as buildable lot. That kind of what you said, even though he couldn't yet build on it.
I believe that he would try that. He also had both parcels listed with a real estate agent prior to him losing the Meridian parcel. It was up for sale for quite a long time, and I believe the asking price was $40 or something for both. I can't remember the exact asking price, but he did have both lots up for sale. And it was right around the time that he lost them because we called the real estate agent and said, do you realize there's not 2 lots there that he can sell? There's only 1. And she was not aware of that. You want to add anything?
Sir, did you have a question or a...
Kevin Flavin.
Just up here if you have any questions that I can't answer.
Okay.
That's all.
Good job, sir.
I know, right?
I've sat on the Zoning Board of Appeals for 15 years. I've never received such a thorough, in-depth analysis of a situation in any of those years.
Sir, I work for the federal judiciary. That's probably why you got something like that.
That explains this is excellent.
Thank you.
We were told by the applicant he did not know about the foreclosure. Okay, what you're telling us is, in fact, there were 2 foreclosures of which he was well aware at first because he paid it.
There were 2 certificates of forfeiture, yes, sir. And then he paid for the one to get it extended, how I understand Michigan law works, because we're originally from Pennsylvania. And then he got a second certificate of foreclosure on it, and then they did foreclose on that, and that's what happened in August of last year. And right now, it was the same situation with Park Lane. He had a certificate of forfeiture on Park Lane at the same time he had a certificate of Meridian. He paid on the Park Lane lot. He did not pay on the Meridian. So the certificate of forfeiture that he has right now for Park Lane that was filed in April is his second one.
That's still active.
Yes, that's still active.
Okay, so basically, the bottom line is there's no surprise here.
No.
Second question. You described the meetings. What you described here sounds very threatening.
Well, Rico, you were at the meeting with us at the bakery. Yes.
Maureen, you want to bring the? I'd rather not have a discussion with the audience. If you bring her up here and give her name and address,
and she can speak.
Robertson. She lives in the lot on the south side of the vacant Park Lane.
You want to give us your name and address?
7608 Park Lane. As I was listening, everything she have said was well explained. That after he purchased the lot, approached him, and that we discussed about purchasing the lot to secure that we don't have to deal with anything like this. Perhaps we're going to share the lot, and because it's laid between our lot and their lot. However, exactly what she said, that he told us that he's going to build a big house.
You want to speak in the mic a little bit?
Oh, he was going to build a big house like the other house, what was it? Benazzo's house, which was built on the waterfront prior year. And what was it? Sorry. And that's what happened. And he refused to deal with us. and he never got back with us about the deal, and nor did I, or we did, because he was asking a lot more, and he tried to make something out of the lot that he knew there was nothing he can do to build at that time.
I have a question. May I ask another question? Yeah. Please. Thank you. Yes. Okay, you identified two people with two names and one address. One's a contractor that's registered, and a second name. Okay, are these two men the same?
What I was able to find out is a Yacoub, Jacob. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So, and is the principal agent for Elite One Construction, Jacob. Jacob Teco, it's in your packet. Mm-hmm. He is the one that has the license through Laura. And on Bizopedia, it is registered as Elite One Construction, and the principal agent is Jacob Teco at 8550 Ferry. So the reason I put that in there is, for him to say he doesn't know about zoning or ordinances, I just think that's ridiculous.
Is that?
Who's Jacob?
Who is that?
That's my son.
That's your son?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Kevin Flavin. I did want to mention that the property.
Say name.
Kevin Flavin.
Okay.
What I wanted to mention is that the properties were posted by the county when they were in foreclosure.
It was posted?
It was posted
okay.
on both sides, on the Meridian side and the Park Lane
and so
side.
there's no reason for the owner not to know what was going on?
As far as I understand, and
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other
yes.
persons?
Yes, there is somebody back there.
Jim Zimmerman, 17585 Park Lane. It's been stated here twice tonight that this meeting is for compliance only. I don't understand when we have something as important as wetlands that this was purposely pushed aside. That's just a comment. Relative to compliance, this compliance for this particular law or ordinance is a relatively new ordinance, and it was put together by this township for a specific reason. Mr. Tico is asking for a variance on this particular lot, and it's not that he's looking for 1 or 2 or 3% or 5%. He's about 15% out of compliance. It's also mentioned in here, number 13 on the list you had in there. What's the impact on adjacent properties? The last probably 8 houses over the last 30 years that have been built in this area, the elevation's been raised as much as 5 feet. Some of them are only 3 feet. I'm sure that if Mr. Tico has to build this, that his property level will be raised in a similar fashion. I reviewed the property with 2 of the members of the board, and we showed them what the impact was, but again, I was reminded that this was for compliance only. But again, I take up from what was presented here on item number 13, the impact on adjacent properties. Mr. Flavin, he will be totally flooded out. You are not giving this man any chance at all. And he's trying to protect his own property. This is the first time, since Mr. Finazzo was the last house to be built, and he built to my understanding township requirements. There's probably about 7 properties that he is totally flooding out. He's right at the break line of the watershed, both north and south. We have a problem that we didn't have before. We met with the township, Tim Thompson and Mr.
Tony Gray?
No, Tim Thompson and
Sahile?
from Mr. Whitman, Russ Whitman.
Russ Whitman, okay, from
we met
Rains.
With him,
from
and
Rains.
It was their recommendation that Mr. Finazzo put. It wasn't a recommendation. They made him put 2 French drains on his property. We let him know. We let them know ahead of time. This French drain, that was back in 2013. We let them know that if that happens, when the water comes up, it's going to flood us out. We were told no, that was the answer to all of our issues for flooding. Those French drains are a secondary problem. Right now, we're all flooded because of those French drains. Since Mr. Finazzo has built, the water runoff of these properties our lots are wet like they've never been before, even without the high water level. If Mr. Tico's granted this variance, raising the property, it affects both sides of the street because it actually feeds. There's 2 doors down from me. There's a culvert that goes under the road where it actually affects both sides of the road. Again, I'd like to say one thing. I met Mr. Tico when he was looking to buy this property, and he asked me. I was going for a walk, and he was parked in front of the lot, and he asked me. He says, "What do you know about this lot?" And I said, "I don't know anything specific, but I hear there's wetlands on this property." And I said, "I was also told at one time that there were protected trees on the property. But since then, the protected trees were taken off of the township drawings, and I don't know about whether these trees are protected today or not." And but I did let him know about the wetlands and I suggested for him to do his due diligence before he purchased anything. Can I ask why the wetland provisions are not part of this meeting? We were told. We weren't asked. We were told that they're not part of or the important part of this meeting.
I think part of the answer to that is the Zoning Board of Appeals basically addresses an issue, and the issue here was a building on a non-compliant lot. That's what we were addressing at this point in time.
But isn't
Didn't
wetlands
address the wetlands issue at all?
Mr. If I may, wetlands is not under the purview of the ZBA anyway. The ZBA has no influence over the wetlands.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I will repeat what I said. What we have in front of us is information which shows a buildable lot area. Okay, well, lot coverage, where that house is going to go. Is that accurate? Is it not accurate? Okay? The reason we don't know whether it's accurate is because we don't have the information that the citizen is asking for. So how do you make a judgment if you don't have accurate information, or at least confirmed information?
That's difficult.
So it all depends. His point is well taken.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
I would like to go on the record that I am against the building on this property, but mainly because of the impact to the neighbors.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from the audience? Yes.
Hi, my name's Heather Burwald, and I live at 17601 Park Lane, which I'm basically directly across from the Ericksons, and that property would be right around my driveway next to Mr. Zimmerman. And I don't have a lot to add to what they've already said because you pretty much have presented all the information. However, what I would like to add is I know you're not supposed, they're saying we're looking at a non-compliance issue, but if you're considering making a variance because he made a mistake, you have to look at how it is going to impact everyone else. I live next to the Finazzos. The majority of this summer, I have not been able to cut sections of my back grass. That has never been the case before in my life. And that is after putting in the French drains and after all of these things happening. Water is a major issue over there, and that into this entire summer, his lot has been underwater. I'm looking at poor Mr. Flavin, and I'm looking at Mr. Homer across the street from him. Mr. Homer's yard is 3/4 of the way, or at least quarter of the way underwater all summer next to the road, not next to the water. And Mr. Flavin's ditches are completely filled, and that continues on down towards Harbor Point. So I don't see how you can actually not consider these types of things when you're looking at making an exception and letting somebody build in a non-conforming lot. So anyways, I thank you for your consideration.
Do you have any other audience comments? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Tecco, what we're going to do is, if you want to come up here and give us a response, if you will, and then we'll go about the process.
As far as the taxes, again, I was not aware of it. What she had presented, that there was two documents that were sent to me, that wasn't incorrect. I would like to have her prove that. That wasn't incorrect. I did not receive anything. As far as meeting the gentleman that was just up here, I've never met him in my life. And other things that was said by the young lady, I don't know what she's talking about. As meeting her at a bakery shop and was rude, it sounded like I was a very rude, mean person. I met him very nicely. I spoke with him very nicely. I had purchased a property for about $44,000 that included taxes, whatever it is, and I said, if you want to buy the property, you can have it for $55,000, if I remember, and that's all was said to them. They said no, they will not pay that. We walked out very nicely together and went our own way. I have no idea what she's talking about as far as I was rude or mispresenting zoning, don't understand anything about zoning. I did not bring up, I'm a zoning expert. I mean, there's many things that was said that was incorrect.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No.
You want to come up again?
All of the information that I got about the property, do I need to say my name and stuff again? Okay. All of the information that I got about the property, I got on the county's website. So if you go on the county's website, you can see that you've had 2 certificates of forfeiture for Meridian. You could see that you have a current certificate of forfeiture for Park Lane. It's all public information, Mr. Tecco. Everything is public. You can just look it up yourself.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add that as far as our meeting at the bakery with Mr. Tecco, I didn't say anything about him being mean or evil, but just he was giving us the notion that at that point he is more aware that we are more resistant and knowing more fact about the land. And he was trying to tell us what he has planned to build this big house, knowing we don't want that, and giving us some kind of pressure that I felt that he was trying to give us to influence our decisions to perhaps, work for his way to let go of the property more than what he paid for. That's what I'm trying to tell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to also add that I was at that meeting with Mr. Tecco, and he gave me the impression in more than one occasion that he was a contractor and that he had done other building and was in the home remodeling business, and that he was well aware of what he was purchasing. And I tried to, on multiple occasions before he actually closed on the property, he came down and started asking questions, and I gave him information that the lot on the Meridian side did have a state easement and that you couldn't do anything with that. But he said to me that as he gathered information, he wondered why the property had not been purchased before, and I explained to him that Mr. Weaver was looking for $85,000, $95,000 for the lots, which my wife and I thought was more than they were worth, and I think that we, as my wife said, we did put a bid in for the properties, and Mr. Weaver chose to take go the route with with Mr. Tecco. So I did get the impression from him that he was well aware of what the rules and regulations were. So thank you.
Okay, any other comments from the audience? Hearing none, do we have any comments from the board right now? Hearing none, what I'd like to do is go ahead and get a motion on this particular application. Can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move that this application be denied for several reasons. Number one, it is a self-inflicted hardship. The applicant's explanation doesn't hold water. Ignorance is no excuse. He's in the building business. He knows how Wayne County works. And so the fact that there's one lot instead of two is entirely and completely on him. Number two reason is I don't agree with the premise that the Zoning Board of Appeals is the first step in the approval process. In an issue like this, it should be the last step, which means that I expect to see a correct building envelope that is known and valid. I would expect to know, for the sake of the citizens, that not only is there an engineering solution, but why is that engineering solution going to work and not impact the neighbors? And third, I would expect to see defined natural features. So for all four of those reasons, I think that that this application should be denied. That's my motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. The application, the appeal is denied. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask, Mr. Bundy here made a point about having proper engineering drawings, survey drawings, not sketches from an applicant on something like this. I think that this is no different than what we would see at the Planning Commission with respect to a lot split. Okay? Same exact thing. And so I would like to make a motion, please, or I will make a motion, that this ZBA require on future applications similar to this, that we not go with hand sketches, that we be given surveyed information. I would like, but if there is a second, I would like to get Brian's opinion.
Can I ask a question, Brian? What Mr. Schweikert is asking for, is that something that the township, general township board has to outline as our duties for a Board of Zoning appeal, or is that something we can inflict or request on our own and require it as part of the application process?
Well, it's probably a bigger question than we can answer here tonight. I think it needs to go through the board, quite frankly, but the reality is if you all need more information in front of you to make decisions, then you need more information in front of you to make decisions.
I would disagree with that, because it's available there. When an applicant comes in, the request can be made that they have it.
I'm going to have to dig into the ordinance.
I mean, and it does say that they have the ability to request it. We being the township employees, normally do not. I don't know if we said that we wanted it. I don't know why That just couldn't happen.
My only concern, Mr. Budney, and you're the board rep, my only concern is you're adding a significant amount of cost to every application that would come before you.
It's not, the intent was not for every application.
But then it's a judgment call again.
It is, exactly.
Well, I think it's in the ordinance right now that we are allowed to accept lesser materials on a case-by-case basis. And if we want more, we can ask for more. And we have, in the past, tabled motions to request more information. So the need to change procedures, I think, is moot.
In something like that, when we get a packet, we could do that prior to having anybody have to come up here. We could say, we need this. That could be done. I mean, so we wouldn't.
Okay, I know that from time to time that we've had a lot of applications without a stamped survey. So, but sometimes we do get it, sometimes we don't. Now the question is whether it's a case of us not when it's presented to us when we're at the meeting here. It's kind of difficult because what you end up with is, do we table this whole appeal based on that, or do we go forward? That's always the question. I mean, it's a hard question to answer, but given that, I think John has a motion.
Let me just say one more thing about this. We do this all the time at the Planning Commission when we have concept reviews. When we have separate applications, we make a judgment as to what we need and what we don't need. Okay? If it's the kind of application that requires, all the way to the extreme, then we demand it. If it isn't, we take lesser things, and that's a judgment that you, as our planner, make with the applicant.
See, that's not a decision I'm comfortable making as your planning consultant.
Yeah.
I should not be making that decision.
I agree with Brian on that.
I'm really hesitant with this conversation.
Okay, I withdraw the motion.
Okay.
I think this is a conversation we can have. I don't think this conversation should be had during a public hearing.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Are there any other comments that we have? Any business that somebody wants to address? Okay. If not, then I'd like to get a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Then supported.
All approved? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Makes me feel happy and pumped up for the workday.
The best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today.
Your happiness, it's great.
100.3
WNIC at work.
Brando, Jimmy Dean, on the cover of a magazine. Grace Kelly, Harlow Jean, picture of a beauty queen. Jean Kelly, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, dance on air. They had style, they had grace. Rita Hayworth gave good face. Lauren Kaplan, Manitou, Betty Davis, we love you. Ladies with an attitude, fellas that were in the mood. Don't just stand there, let's get to it. Strike a pose, there's nothing to it.
This trip is all planned out. We just need you to pack your bags to Vegas. Get ready to win a trip to the iHeartRadio Music Festival. Just 7 minutes on 100.3 WNIC.
Day after day, I'm more confused. Yet I look for the light through the pouring rain. You know that's a game that I hate to lose. And I'm feeling the strain. Always shame. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Won't you take me away? Beginning to think that I'm wasting time. I don't understand the things I do. The world outside looks so unkind. And I'm counting on you. You can carry me through. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Won't you take me away? And when my mind is free, you know a melody can move me. When I'm feeling blue, the guitar's coming through to soothe me. Thanks for the joy that you're giving me. The joy that you're giving me. I want you to know that I believe in your song. Rhythm and rhyme and harmony. You help me along, making me strong. Oh, you're making me strong. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away, drift away. And give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away, drift away. Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Just give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Let me drift away. Won't you take me away?
The best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today. 100.3 WNIC.
Won't you tender things that we were working on. Slow change may pull us apart. When the light gets into your heart, baby, don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. You stand above me, look my way, never love me. Rain keeps falling down, down, down. Will you recognize me? Call my name or one more night. Rain keeps falling down, 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 down. Don't you try to pretend it's my feeling will win and get. I won't harm you or touch your defenses, vanity, insecurity. Don't you forget about me. I'll be alone, dancing to it, baby. Going to take you apart. I'll put us back together. Baby, don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. But you won't come by. Will you come my name? As you walk on by. Will you come my name? When you walk away. Or will you walk away? Will you walk away? I'm gonna call my name. Will you call my name? I say la 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 la
.3 WNIC has your shot at a trip to our iHeartRadio Music Festival plus $1,000 now. Text this nationwide keyword DATE to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. Text DATE to 200-200 and keep an eye on your phone. If you see a call come in from a number you don't recognize, grab it. Might be us calling to tell you that you won.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. Why'd you have to leave so soon? Why'd you have to go? Why'd you have to leave me when I needed you the most? 'Cause I don't really know how to tell you without feeling much worse. I know you're in a better place, and it's always gonna hurt. Carry on, give me all the strength I need. life without you. I'm feeling so cold. I'll be waiting right here for you till the day you're home. Carry on. Give me all the strength I need to carry on. So let the light guide your way. Yeah. Hold every memory as you go. And every road you take will always lead you home. Oh, it's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you
Hey, it's Shay Towers in the morning. Would you like to win free shopping at Oakland Mall? Play Battle of the Sexes. Give us your name and your info at WNIC.com and listen at 8:15 tomorrow morning on WNIC.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused.
good.
You know, we're all singing.
With the best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today. 100.3 WNIC.
So hard to sleep. I got the sheets on the floor, nothing on me. And I can't take it no more. It's 100 degrees. I got 1 foot out the door. Where are my keys? 'Cause I gotta leave, yeah. In the back of the cab, I took the drive ahead of time. Get me the fast. I got your body on my mind. I want it bad. Ooh, just the thought of you gets me so high, so high. Girl, you the one I want to. And if you want me, girl, you got me. There's nothing else, no, I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do. To get up next to you. Girl, you the one I want to. And if you want me, girl, you got me. There's nothing else, no, I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do. To get up next to you. To get up next to you. You open the door, wearing nothing but a smile, fell to the floor. And you whisper in my ear, baby, I'm yours. Ooh, just the thought of you gets me so high, so high. Girl, you the one I want to. And if you want me, girl, you got me. There's nothing else, no, I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do. To get up next to you. Girl, you the one I want to. And if you want me, girl, you got me. There's nothing else, no, I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do. To get up next to you. Yeah. To get up next to you. Just the thought of you gets me so high, so high. Ooh, just the thought of you gets me so high, so high. You're the one I want to. And if you want me, girl, you got me. You got me. Nothing else, no, I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do. To get up next to you. Girl, you're the one I want to. And if you want me, girl, you got me. There's nothing else, no, I wouldn't do. No, I wouldn't do. To get up next to you. I would do anything just to get up next to you. Anything and everything to get up next to you. To get up next to you.
The best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today, 100.3 WNIC. New movies on video today. Godzilla, King of Monsters. Rocket Man, that's the Elton John biopic. And The Secret Life of Pets 2. Out today.
Lying beside you, here in the dark, feeling your heartbeat with mine. Softly you whisper, you're so sincere. How could our love be so blind? We sailed on together, drifted apart, and here you are by my side. So now I come
best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today. 100.3 WNIC. Chase Juniors is back for year number 6, and we couldn't be more excited, especially when we surprise families with this beautiful jet. Jay's Junior Jet, the J3, because of Planet Fitness, Kroger, and DMC Children's Hospital of Michigan. We get to send a bunch of Detroit area families with chronic or terminally ill children to experience an all-expense-paid trip to Walt Disney World. If you think you know a family that could use this trip, let us know. WNIC.com.
100.3 WNIC traffic. The jam cam show no accidents on the freeways. You'll find construction along I-75 in both directions between M59 and Lapeer Road. And you'll find construction still working eastbound M59 between Mound and Van Dyke. I'm Pete Spivak with traffic.
This report is sponsored by Comcast Business. Every day, Comcast Business is helping businesses big and small go beyond the expected to do the extraordinary. Because beyond a simple transaction, there is making a customer for life. Comcast Business Beyond Fast. Take your business beyond at ComcastBusiness.com.
Win your way to our 2019 iHeartRadio Music Festival, plus $1,000. Yes. And you could score the ultimate VIP money can't buy grand prize experience, including front row tickets, 10 grand spending cash, backstage access with VIP meet and greets, first class flights, a Nightingale suite at the new Park and GM, and so much more. I cannot believe this. More than 30 of the biggest superstars on the planet.
Alicia Keys, Miley Cyrus,
and tons more. Hosted by Ryan Seacrest. 2 nights, September 20th and 21st.
T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas.
Plus the daytime stage. There's nothing else like it. And you could be there in person. Just listen for your next chance to text and win.
Brought to you by Macy's. Live music by iHeartRadio and style by Macy's. The perfect combo for festival season. For the hottest content and festival fashion, don't forget to check out Macy's The Edit at Macy's.com/The Edit to find your remarkable style.
Now through Labor Day weekend, you can get even more incredible deals at Kia's summer clearance event, like 0% APR for qualified buyers, plus $750 Labor Day bonus cash on the purchase of a new 2020 Sportage. Hurry into your local Kia dealer today.
Call 800-53-4KIA for details about credit costs and terms and other information. 0% APR financing for 36 to 66 months from Kia Motors Finance and approved credit for purchase of a new 2020 Sportage and $750 Labor Day bonus cash. Offer may not be combined with lease or any other KMF finance offers. Subject to dealer participation. Must take delivery by 9/3/19.
Are you ready?
Ready for anything. For what life throws at you, at your kids.
Are they ready to study, research, write papers?
To do all the amazing things they don't even know they're capable of yet.
Internet Essentials from Comcast brings affordable, high-speed internet to your home for only $9.95 a month. Now available to low-income households eligible for public assistance programs like Medicaid, the National School Lunch Program, SNAP, housing assistance, and others. Visit InternetEssentials.com to apply. No credit check, contract, or installation fee. Taxes, extra restrictions apply.
At Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union, we're for teachers, not just teachers. If you've ever taught a lesson about anything in life, you can join MSGCU. We're for anyone who's ever taught someone how to flip a pancake, play euchre, put on makeup, or parallel park. Anyone who's taught someone how to choose the perfect outfit, find the Big Dipper, change a tire, or play the piano. Because we know that even the smallest lessons can make the biggest difference. So we're dedicated to giving all the teachers out there a better way to bank. With great rates, convenient mobile services, and terms that are as friendly as our people. So if you've ever taught a lesson and you live or work in the Lower Peninsula, a Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union membership can help you get the most out of life and your finances. It's easy to join. Stop by a local branch or visit msgcu.org and see how everything we do is about friendly money. Insured by NCUA.
There's one thing that will always make you feel like a kid again. Jump into fun all summer long at Kalahari Resorts and Conventions in Sandusky, Ohio. Twist, turn, and experience heart-pounding vortex loops on one of our many water slides. Dine at diverse eateries or relax at the world-class spa. It's the ultimate summer getaway for kids of all ages. Book your best summer yet at KalahariResorts.com.
Can one company deliver on a commitment to every person in Michigan? Count on it. Count on Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan to be there for our members and for everyone across Michigan. Every day, in every zip code, we're committed to our Michigan communities. At free clinics, offering help to those in need. At schools, teaching kids healthier habits. All over Michigan, we're making a difference because this is our home too. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Confidence comes with every card.
When you have trouble sleeping, it's tough. When kids have trouble sleeping,
Mom, I can't sleep. Dad, just one more story?
for nights like this, try Vicks Pure Z's Kids. Our great-tasting gummies are specially formulated for kids with a unique blend of botanicals and a low dose of melatonin to support their natural sleep cycle. Best of all, they're drug-free and non-habit forming. Help your child fall asleep naturally with Pure Z's Kids Gummies. Consult with a doctor before use. For ages 4 and up.
To a kid who gets their nutrition in school, summer days can seem like weeks. I'm Jerry from Gleaners. You can help us get healthy, nutritious food to kids today. Citizens Bank is matching your donations to Gleaners now. Every dollar you give provides 6 meals to make sure a hungry child is ready to learn and able to thrive. Go to hungerfreesummer.org or call Gleaners at 855-315-FOOD. That's 855-315-FOOD now.
Make the move to Cadillac with Suburban Cadillac of Troy. This month, lease the 2019 Cadillac Escalade Luxury for $699 a month, featuring heads-up display, 10-speed transmission, heated and cooled seats, navigation, and heated steering wheel. Shop online at SuburbanCadillacofTroy.com or stop in today. Located north of Maple and west of Crooks in Troy. Find a Cadillac at your price with Suburban Cadillac of Troy. Make the move to Cadillac. See dealer for details. Offer expires September 1st.
Got plans for Labor Day weekend? Do they include saving money? Because Labor Day savings at the Home Depot means up to 40% off appliance special buys. Get a quiet-running Whirlpool dishwasher that senses how dirty your dishes are and adapts its cleaning cycle. It's just $378, so you'll save $200. Sounds like a plan. See why with Labor Day savings, today is the day for doing. The Home Depot. More saving. More doing. U.S. only while supplies last. See store for details. Valid for September 11th.
Hey, sis. What you up to? Shopping for phone plans. Check out Walmart Family Mobile. They have 2 truly unlimited lines priced for under $75 a month, powered by T-Mobile. Plus all the latest phones. 2 lines for under $75? Now with 5 gigabytes of mobile hotspot per line. That's too good a value to pass up. Touché, sister. Visit myfamilymobile.com or pick up your plans at Walmart today. Walmart Family Mobile. Get everything you love about Walmart in mobile. Video typically streams at DVD quality. See terms at myfamilymobile.com.
WNIC Dearborn, Detroit. Live from the Greektown Casino Hotel Studios.
Imagining a better bank starts with looking at the savings rates most banks offer and saying, really? Capital One is building something better. You can open a Capital One savings account with one of the nation's best savings rates from anywhere, like here, or here, or here. One of the nation's best savings rates. Opened online, at a Capital One location, or from anywhere. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Offered by Capital One N.A. member FDIC. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
Hi, it's Shay Towers in the morning.
With Allison and Chelsea.
Want to hear the best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today anytime? Just say, Alexa, play 100.3 WNIC.
Getting 100.3 WNIC station from iHeartRadio.
The club isn't the best place to find the lovers, so the bar is where I go. Me and my friends at the table doing shots, tripping fast, and then we talk slow. Come over and start up a conversation with just me, and trust me, I'll give it a chance. Now take my hand, stop it, and the man on the jukebox, and then we start to dance. And now I'm singing like, girl, you know I want your love. Your love was handmade for somebody like me. Come on now, follow my lead. I may be crazy, don't mind me. Say, boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that body on me. Come on now, follow my lead. Come on now, follow my lead. I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. Although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. And last night you were in my room. And now my bedsheets smell like you. Every day discovering something brand new. Well, I'm in love with your body. 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 Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you. When we can, we let the story begin. We're going out on our first date. You and me is thrifty, so go all you can eat. Fill up your bag and I fill up the plate. We talk for hours and hours about the sweet and the sour and how your family's doing okay. And even getting a taxi, kissing the backseat, tell the driver make the radio play. And I'm singing like, girl, you know I want your love. Your love was handmade for somebody like me. Come on now, follow my lead. I may be crazy, don't mind me. Say, boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that body on me. Come on now, follow my lead. Come on now, follow my lead. I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. Although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. Last night you were in my room. Now my bedsheets smell like you. Every day discovering something brand new. Well, I'm in love with your body. 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 Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you. Come on, be my baby, come on. 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 I'm in love with the shape of you. Push and pull like a magnet. Although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. Last night you were in my room. Now my bedsheets smell like you. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with your body. Come on, be my baby. Come on, come on, be I'm in love with your body. Come on, be my baby. Come on, come on, be I'm in love with your body. Come on, be my baby. Come on, be I'm in love with your body. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you.
The iHeart 80s at 8 is coming up with Jenny. Also, America's Got Talent, the Detroit Youth Choir performs tonight. Give them some votes. 100.3 WNIC. Hey.
What I like about you, you hold me tight. Tell me I'm the only one wanna come over tonight. Yeah. Phone whispering in my ear. Tell me all the things that I wanna hear, 'cause it's true.
listening to the iHeart 80s at 8. An hour of great 80s tunes on 100.3 WNIC.
Many times I tried to tell you, many times I cried alone. Boys, I'm surprised how well you cut my feelings to the bone. Don't wanna leave you, really. I've invested too much time to give you up that easy. To the doubts that complicate your mind, we belong to the light, we belong to the dark. We belong to the sound of the words we both born in under. Whenever we deny or embrace, for worse or for better, we belong together. Maybe it's a sign of weakness when I don't know what to say. Maybe I just wouldn't know what to do with my strength anyway. Have we become a habit? Do we distort the facts? Now there's no looking forward. Now there's no turning back when you say we belong to the light, we belong to the dark. We belong to the sound of the words we both born in under. Whatever we deny or embrace, for worse or for better, we belong together. Close your eyes and try to sleep now. Close your eyes and try to dream. Clear your mind and do your best to try and watch the palette gleam. We can't begin to know it, how much we really care. I hear your voice inside me, I see your face everywhere. Still you say we belong to the light, we belong to the Father. We belong to the sound of the words we both born in under. Whatever we deny or embrace, for worse or for better, we belong together. We belong to the light, we belong to the dark. We belong to the sound of the words we both born in under. Whatever we deny or embrace, for worse or for better, we belong together.
It's our iHeart 80s at 8 brought to you by Kowalski Sausage. DeBarge came out with Rhythm of the Night in 1985. That was also the year they discovered the wreck of the RMS Titanic. They used cameras instead of sonar, and that led them to find the wreck of the ship in several places, if you remember. 100.3 WNIC.
When it feels like the world is on your shoulders and all of the madness has got you going crazy, it's time to get out, step out into the street where all of the action is right there at your feet. Well, I know a place where we can dance the whole night away underneath the electric stars. Just come with me and we can shake your blues right away. You'll be doing fine once the music starts. Oh, to the beat of the rhythm of the night, dance until the morning light. Forget about the celebration starting under the street lights. The scene is being set. A night for romance, a night you won't forget. So come join the fun. This ain't no time to be staying home. Ooh, there's too much going on. Tonight is gonna be a night like you've never known. We're gonna have a good time the whole night long. Oh, feel the beat of the rhythm of the night. Dance until the morning light. Forget about the worries on your mind. You can leave them all behind.
Towers in the morning.
Chelsea tried giving us the answer to a math equation. It was different every single time. We were looking at each other going,
It's 42,000.
Wait, what?
It's 190.
Right. It's one person. No, that's impossible.
Jay Towers in the morning. On 100.3 WNIC.
You like dual drinks, nice and cold, but the sensitive teen thing is getting old. Yeah. Time to say goodbye to the pain, because having sensitive teen teeth is just so lame.
80% of sensitivity starts at the gum line. Treat it at the source with Crest Gum and Sensitivity. Crest. Healthy, beautiful smiles for life.
Mario Lopez here, and it's time for some straight talk. Look, you wouldn't spend more to get the exact same thing, would you? No, of course not. Who would? So when I tell you that Straight Talk Wireless runs on the same cell towers as the big guys but charges you a lot less, you see where I'm going with this, right? That's America's largest, most dependable 4G LTE networks for up to half the cost. Get the $45 unlimited plan from Straight Talk with 25 gigs of high-speed data and no contract, only at Walmart.
Rides, agriculture, Shrine Circus, and family fun. The 2019 Michigan State Fair presented by Ram Trucks, August 29th through September 2nd at Suburban Collection Showplace in Novi. Tickets at MichiganStateFairLLC.com or head to your Metro Detroit Kroger to purchase a discounted $22 Ultimate wristband.
Hurry into the Ford Hurry Up and Save sales event and get 20% estimated savings on select Ford SUVs. Plus, earn complimentary maintenance through Ford Pass Rewards. Modem must be activated within 60 days of purchase through the Ford Pass app on a smartphone and remain active for at least 6 months after activation. Eligible on select 2019 model year vehicles. Vehicle must have arrived at dealer at least 61 days prior to the sale date. Estimated savings include an average dealer discount based on a sales survey of average discounts offered by Ford dealers nationally. Discount may vary. Dealer determines price. For all offers, take new retail delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 9/3/19. See participating dealer for complete details.
Or, if you want to lease, current AZ Plan Escape lessees can lease a 2019 Ford Escape SE 4-wheel drive for only $159 a month for 24 months with $2,039 due at signing. Not all lessees will qualify for Ford Credit Red Carpet Low Mileage Lease. See dealer for complete details. Some exclusions may apply. Take new retail delivery from dealer stock by September 3rd. And visit a Southeast Michigan Ford dealer today.
Katie Bowman's dream of working in the fashion industry took her to New York and Australia. She enrolled at Walsh to pursue a bigger dream. Today, Katie is the owner and president of Bowman Chevrolet. To learn more, go to walshcollege.edu.
Can one card give you the peace of mind that will help you sleep better at night? Count on it. Count on Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan for the security and peace of mind that comes with knowing whenever your family needs health care, you can get it. Generation after generation for 80 years, we've been giving families like yours the choices and access that helps you get the care that's right for you. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Confidence comes with every card.
You like dual drinks, nice and cold, but the sensitive teen thing is getting old.
Gum and Sensitivity from Crest.
Why is Kenny doing a cannonball in a pool of dip?
Because it's refreshing hell of a good dip, which starts with real milk and cream, not oils or water, so it's... Kenny, stop eating the pool!
It won't improve your cannonballs, but it will improve any snack. Hell of a good dip. Not just good, hell of a good.
Consumers Energy is modernizing our natural gas infrastructure in Macomb County. Our crews are improving safety, reliability, and efficiency by installing 14 miles of new natural gas pipelines. Because a stronger infrastructure is better for you and better for Michigan. And remember, when you see our crews, please slow down and go around to keep everyone safe. Consumers Energy, count on us. Hi, I'm Shayna, a Pep Boys tech with this reminder. With unpredictable fall weather just ahead of us, now is the time to check your tires. If they're worn, every trip to school, work, or fall outings could be trouble. That's why Pep Boys pros will inspect your tires free.
Now at Pep Boys, get $100 off a set of 4 select Goodyear weather-ready tires after manufacturer mail-in rebates. Plus, get another $100 off instantly. That's $200 off a set of Goodyear weather-ready tires now through August 31st. See restrictions at PepBoys.com.
So visit your local Pep Boys service and tire center today.
today.
Hey, Mario Lopez here. Best Fiends now has over 100 million downloads, and it is not slowing down. This 5-star rated puzzle game has become this summer's hit game, and people just can't stop talking about it. With tons of cute characters to collect and thousands of fun puzzles, you'll never be bored. Play Best Fiends by yourself or against family and friends and find out why Best Fiends is a must-play and download it for free from the App Store or Google Play today. That's friends without the R, Best Fiends.
It's Tuesday, August 27th. Here are the new podcasts today on the iHeartRadio app. True Crime Tuesday is back again. We've got more for you to binge and discover than ever. The second season of Hell and Gone as host Catherine Townsend returns to Arkansas for another cold case. Plus, Hitman, the story of how a Motown legend thought a book could help him get away with murder. These podcasts and thousands more are new and waiting for you today inside the iHeartRadio app. America's #1 for podcasts.
100.3 WNIC HD.
Online at WNIC.com.
On your phone with the iHeartRadio app. And on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos.
An iHeart radio station.
The iHeart 80s at 8s on 100.3 WNIC.
Dearly beloved, we have gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Electric word, life, it means forever, and that's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you, there's something else. The afterworld. A world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun, day or night. So when you call up that shrink in Beverly Hills, you know the one, like everything will be alright. Instead of asking how much of your time is left, ask how much of your mind, baby. Cause in this life, things are much harder than the afterworld. This life, you're on your own. And if the elevator tries to break you down, go crazy, run to higher floor. Don't lie, what you living in? Take a look around, at least you got friends. Now call my old lady, on friendly word. That phone, dropped it on the floor. That's all I heard. I'm gonna let the elevator break us down. No, let's go crazy. Let's get nuts. Look for the purple melody, they put us in trouble. Let's go. Silent, don't know why. Maybe it's 'cause all the time you do. What's it all for? Then live now for
was in Genesis, but he also had a solo career, and this was the first single from his solo career. It was off the Face Value album, and it sold more than any prior Genesis album, so the group changed their musical direction after it. Here's In the Air Tonight on 100.3 WNIC.
one can say that you didn't feel million things and a perfect dream of mine. Gone, fragile but free. We remain tender together, not so in love. It's not so wrong. We're only human after all. These changing days, they add to your confusion. When you need the time will told the truth that there is something about you, oh baby, so right. Don't want to be without you, baby, tonight. Because there's something about you, oh baby, so right. I couldn't live without you, baby,
'84 was a big year for pop culture, and one of the movies that you went to see was Footloose, of course, and that album was huge. This was the second single from the soundtrack. 100.3 WNIC with Denise Williams, and let's hear it for the boy.